And from there, we're going to take a look at the state capitol, where a battle over a child sex trafficking bill that's dividing lawmakers, creating some new chaos.
The bill's been at the center of a fight in the state assembly. Thank you for joining us here for our News at 6. I'm Edie Lambert.
I'm Gulston Dart. The California Democratic Party began running some misleading ads on Facebook. Democrats have been divided over whether it should be an automatic felony to buy older teens for sex. The Democrats' ads claim that Republican lawmakers voted against stronger laws protecting 16 and 17-year-old victims of sex trafficking.
So our Capitol correspondent Ashley Zavala has been getting answers about this move by the Democratic Party. What have you learned, Ashley?
Edie, Assembly Speaker Robert Rivas's campaign and leaders of the California Democratic Party were behind those ads. Despite repeated requests for comment today, neither the Speaker nor the Democratic Party Chairman Rusty Hicks is saying anything. The ads basically poured gasoline on the already fiery debate at the Capitol over whether people who buy teens for sex should face harsher consequences. These ads popped up on Facebook Sunday, pushed by the California Democratic Party and Assembly Speaker Robert Rivas's campaign. Targeting 7 state lawmakers, the ads falsely claimed Republicans voted against stronger laws protecting 16 and 17-year-old victims of sex trafficking.
Well, I think it's garbage.
Assemblyman Joe Patterson was one of the targets.
We all know it's complete garbage, these ads, and it's the best that they have because the public knows that they're out of touch with keeping people safe.
What the Republicans actually rejected was a move last week by Democrats to strip a member of their own party, Assemblymember Maggie Krell, from the bill she originally wrote to make it an automatic felony to buy or solicit 16 and 17-year-olds for sex. 3 Democrats, including Krell, voted with Republicans. The rest of the Democrats also voted to exclude the felony and instead added text that read, "It is the intent of the legislature to adopt the strongest laws to protect 16 and 17-year-old victims and strengthen protections in support of survivors of human trafficking."
This language is, we intend to do something in the future. That's the purpose of this intent language.
But it did not immediately offer like a substantive change to the law.
No.
Progressive Democrats have been hesitant to support the automatic felony for how it could impact 18-year-olds in LGBTQ or interracial relationships with 16 and 17-year-olds. Democratic State Senator Scott Wiener posted on Blue Sky, sending an 18-year-old high school senior to state prison for offering his 17-year-old classmate $20 to fool around isn't smart criminal justice policy, yet that's what some people are effectively advocating in this misleading debate. He did not comment on the ads, but Assembly Public Safety Chairman Nick Schultz said a new proposal is coming for those who buy the 16 and 17-year-olds.
We had some very productive conversations today with the Speaker, with my joint author, Assemblymember Wynn, and with Assemblymember Krell. Not too much more that I can share at the moment, but we are optimistic that we'll have a solution in place by the end of the week.
Meanwhile, Governor Gavin Newsom said last week he supports the felony. Both parties encouraging him to get more involved. He has not yet commented on the Democratic Party's ads.
It makes me wonder if the governor has lost control of the California Democratic Party because they went out there and ran these ads for something that even the governor has said is consistent with how Republicans feel. And so are the Democrat Party just going to do whatever they want to do despite what the leader of their party feels on issues?
Democratic Progressive Caucus Chairman, Assemblyman Alex Lee.
The governor has had a history of where he says something and he forces his way onto the legislature. I think more and more you're seeing that as we're getting near the end of his term, the legislature is more and more willing to reassert its role as a co-equal branch. But at the same time, we're also fed up with a death by 1,000 cuts, right? He doesn't have the ability to dictate, as any one person dictate what policy is, and if he wants to get involved, I think we sincerely invite him, his staff, to get involved in these issues rather than just making one-off statements to the press.
Now, we did check in with the governor for comment on all of that you just saw. Nothing yet from his office. As for the ads, Facebook's transparency tools shows it was up for a total of 19 hours and taken down after we first reported this. It's to be seen now if the California Republican Party retaliates. Edie, back to you.
Ashley, thank you. And just a reminder, as we've been covering this issue, we have produced an in-depth documentary on the issue of sex trafficking in Sacramento. It's called Escaping the Blade. You can scan that QR code right now to find the stories from survivors and the challenges in prosecuting traffickers.